What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Clone Wars Chronological Rewatch.
Hey.
It has been a long time since we have recorded one of these. By now, the last one that we filmed should have come out, obviously. It should have come out kind of recently, and then there's going to be like another several-month jump where we didn't film. Anyway, we are entering, finally, the final arc of Season 6, which will be our last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars Chronological Rewatch.
We're so close to being done.
Remember when we were supposed to have this done before the Clone Wars Season 7 started? That was the plan. Didn't work out. It's been several years since then. So we're on episode 6, or Season 6. The episode is called The Lost One. And we are finally getting to see the Jedi figure out some stuff about the clone conspiracy and who that pesky Darth Tyrannus is. It's wild to me every time I watch this episode that I'm like, you didn't know that until now?
This episode is crazy. And for a minute, I was like, oh man, it's been so long since we've watched these that I need a refresher on what's been happening. But as soon as we started the episode, it was like bringing up all the stuff from episode 2, and it was just so reminiscent of the prequels that it immediately like pulls you in, and you're like, okay, I know who Sifo Dyas is, and that's mostly what the episode is about, and his friend who is now crazy.
Yeah, Silman, who we didn't know until this episode. We didn't know about him.
That's sneaky.
Okay, well, here's what I
George.
like. Here's what Well,
George
first of all,
snuck that in.
I really like how consistent this episode is with Attack of the Clones. Like you said, Obi-Wan brings up his investigation into Jango Fett multiple times when I'm like, dude, that was 3 years ago. And he's like, oh, I heard the name Tyrannus back then. And it's like, you never followed up. 3 years later, and they're starting to dig into these mysteries, but it remains as convoluted as it always has been.
Yes.
And like the fact that Sifo Dyas, according to behind-the-scenes stories, the character of Sifo Dyas was created because it was originally going to be a pseudonym for Sidious that was like Sido Dyas, and then that got messed up in a typo, and George was like, I like that more. And so now we have this Jedi character that went and secretly ordered the clones, and then Dooku and Sidious...
Because he could see the future.
Because he could see the future, and then Dooku and Sidious took control of the clone army and killed him, and like it just got so confusing. And then they were like, we're gonna try to answer some of these questions finally at the end of the Clone Wars here. Let's introduce more characters. Like, oh my gosh, there was a Silman guy.
Yeah. Well, basically, like, Yoda becomes a detective in this episode, and he's like, let me go talk to this person. Let me go talk to this person. You guys go talk to the Pikes. And they're just, like, going around talking to all these people, trying to figure out what happened. Mm-hmm. And I do really like the scene of, like, Sidious chastising Dooku and being like, you better clean up your mess, mister. That's how he said it.
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like this was a mess. And they did need to clean it up.
And I like that we see Sidious getting a little flustered.
Yeah.
I mean, he's angry when he's flustered. And he chokes Dooku and everything, but you don't get to see him kind of lose his cool that much. And seeing him talk to Yoda, and he was like, what was his name? Sifo Dyas? Yeah. Never heard of him before.
Who? I've never heard that word before.
And like even Yoda is kind of giving him the side eye, like, you're being a little shifty.
Mm-hmm.
I like all that. But the message for this episode is what is lost is often found. And to me, it just means like no matter how deep you bury your lies or treachery or whatever, like it's going to find its way to the surface. Even if your enemies do nothing about it for 3 years, there's still a trail left by whatever you have done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like all the missing socks that somehow go missing throughout your life, and eventually you're going to find them. Probably not until you're packing all your stuff up to move to the next house.
Terrible analogy. I've never once found my missing socks.
They're here somewhere.
I know Big Czar last dog ate a couple of my socks. I do know that.
Those cannot be found.
Those are gone. They're in a worse place.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I really like the inclusion of the Pikes in here. This is, I think, our first time seeing Obadiah, their homeworld. Just their cool designs. We saw them in season 5 with all of the mall stuff, but just seeing them in their element in a spice den in a cartoon.
They're just chilling.
They're just like doing drugs and their mouth is stained with spice. And it's like, this is intense.
They're just chilling, and Obi-Wan and Anakin come in and ruin their vibe, and they're like, come on.
I love when they offer refreshments and Anakin like puts his arm out and Obi-Wan slaps him down. Like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
We're on the job.
And then they're like, oh yeah, we got this prisoner guy. He's been here for a while. He likes bugs.
Yeah, he likes bugs. My babies. Poor Silman. Like, I felt nothing but bad for him. He was imprisoned for 13 years.
He looked like the old character that the bad guy of
Jafar.
Aladdin is Jafar.
I knew where you were going with that.
He's just got long hair and messed up teeth, and he's just been talking to bugs.
I like Silman. I feel bad for him. He was trapped there for 13 years, and when he finally got a visitor and he was finally going to tell his story, Dooku shows up and strangles him. Like, that was such a bummer.
Yeah, that sucks.
But yeah, the end of the episode is basically Obi-Wan going, Dooku, you're Tyrannus? And
he basically told him.
And then, Dooku replies, I told you everything you needed to know on Geonosis 3 years ago. And that's true. He told him everything. And the Jedi are still just like, what's going on? Our enemies ordered the clone army for us? Like,
he lost all that knowledge when he cut his hair off. Somehow.
Obi-Wan's smarts were in his mullet.
Yeah.
But I do like that Yoda kind of sticks by the clones, and he's like, we need to look into this, but the clones have been good to us. Like, they are honorable and loyal people. Obviously, they don't know about the chips. How could they? But I guess if they were able to follow up on the last investigation that happened in season 6, but
yeah.
But I do respect that Yoda's like, we need to investigate this, but the clones are good people. At least he knows that. But yeah, we'll continue on with Yoda's story in the last 3 episodes of season 6, which these should be coming out weekly from now until the end. We should be almost done with our Clone Wars Chronological Rewatch. So thank you all for hanging with us. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
We didn't even have a TikTok when we started these.